Being a parent is often presented as one of life's greatest joys. The tender moments, the laughter, the cuddles, the memories we create with our children. Yes, all of that exists, and thankfully so. But let's be honest for a minute. All of that doesn't just fall from the sky, because being a mom today is no walking in the park. It's an enormous mental load. Thinking about work, thinking about home, thinking about shopping, meals, appointments, the children's education, their activities, how they feel, who they're becoming, thinking about everything, all the time. And even when there are two of you, it's far from easy. But when you're a single mom, well, that's a whole different ballgame. So, if you too sometimes feel like Wonder Woman is turning into desperate housewives, take a breath. Seriously, you're not weak, a bad mother, or incapable. You're just human. In this video, I want to put words to what many women experience in silence. We'll talk about the causes of the mental load on mothers, its often invisible but very real consequences, and above all, I'm going to share concrete tips to help you find peace and happiness in your life as a mom without guilt. Because yes, it's possible, and you deserve it.
Tip number 1. Learn to recognize mental overload. The first essential thing when talking about mental load is learning to recognize it. Because the problem isn't just everything you have to do, it's what's going on in your head. Do you ever wake up in the middle of the night, your brain already fully engaged, running through the list of everything that awaits you the next day? Work, the kids, the house, appointments, a professional and personal to-do list completely mixed up, looping endlessly, to the point where falling back asleep becomes almost impossible. Or another very classic situation. You're in a meeting, a colleague mentions a final year project, and suddenly, without warning, your mind wanders to the report your eldest child has to submit for their baccalaureate exam. If this sounds familiar, rest assured, you're not alone. Many of us experience this. And it shows one fundamental thing. You can't put your brain on pause. No matter how hard we try to separate work and personal life, our brain doesn't differentiate. It never slows down. And depending on the number of tasks it constantly throws at you, either the mental load remains manageable or we tip into mental overload. And that's where the trouble starts, because stress sets in, anxiety takes over more and more. And it can even lead to parental burnout. If you feel like your brain is constantly racing, that you're always anticipating, always thinking about the next thing to do, you may have already exceeded your tolerance threshold. Another very telling sign. Do you remember the last time you truly took time for yourself? Real time, not time between tasks, not time when you feel guilty. Do you have any downtime during your week? Many women find it extremely difficult to do nothing or to give themselves time because they feel guilty for not being helpful to others at that moment, as if resting, taking care of yourself were selfish, when it's precisely the opposite.
And yet, that's where the problem lies. Even the most altruistic people, even those who give without counting the cost, need to recharge, to take a break, to breathe. Not out of selfishness, but precisely to regain the energy to give. So I'd like to ask you a question, quite honestly. Are you able to take time for yourself without feeling guilty? Time to exercise, sew, see friends, or even simply take a bath peacefully with soft music without thinking about what you should be doing instead. If you look at your habits and don't see any moments that are truly fulfilling for you, ask yourself this essential question. Can you keep this up for long? Another very telling sign of mental overload, that feeling of never being finished. I'd like to talk here about the end of the day for mothers. Finally, what we might call the second day, the one that starts around 6 or 7 p.m. after the workday. Because even though there has been progress in the last 50 years, the reality is that household chores are still not shared equally between men and women. And for single mothers, whose numbers are constantly growing, it's no longer a question of sharing. Everything falls on their shoulders. The result? Women's days are long, very long. So I'd like to ask you one last question. How do you feel at the end of your day? Do you feel like you've moved mountains and finally deserve a restorative rest? Or do you go to bed with the bitter taste of not having finished everything on your endless to-do lists? Do you feel drained, exhausted, completely flat when the day ends? If you're experiencing the anxiety of days that repeat themselves, always so busy, always so exhausting, then perhaps you've already entered this vicious cycle of overwork or even parental burnout. And if that's the case, it's time to take action. Tip 2. Let go of parental perfectionism. The second essential point when discussing mental load is letting go of parental perfectionism. And above all, don't be fooled by the perfect image projected by social media. You could call it the Wonder Woman syndrome. This idea that you have to succeed at everything, your professional life, your personal life, have happy, high-achieving, well-behaved children, and achieve all of this without ever faltering. This pressure to be perfect isn't new. We already saw it with the working girls of the 80s. But what has really changed today is social media. Because now we no longer compare ourselves to distant or idealized images. We compare ourselves to women who look like us, or at least who give us the illusion of looking like us. Mothers who seem to manage everything perfectly, hyper-organized, always smiling, slim, beautiful like models, interiors worthy of decorating magazines, impeccable children, organic, vegan, homemade meals every night, flawless parenting. Inevitably, when we compare ourselves to that, we end up feeling inadequate. Inadequate, not good enough. And yet, it must be said again and again, perfection doesn't exist. These perfect lives don't exist. They are carefully chosen images, staged, filtered, and retouched. And many people spend an enormous amount of time making us believe that their daily lives are perfect. That's the danger. By constantly trying to live through the mirror of social media, we exhaust ourselves. We put enormous pressure on ourselves. And at the end of the road, parental burnout often awaits us. When we set our goals too high as parents, we can ruin our health, physical, mental, emotional. So my advice is simple. Be careful with social media. Keep your distance. Don't compare yourself to others. You don't need to be a perfect mother. You just need to be a good enough mother.
Tip number 3. Delegate some tasks and dare to ask for help. Third tip, and certainly not the least, learn to delegate. Because no, there's absolutely no shame in asking for help when you feel you can't manage on your own anymore. We know that in theory, but in reality, it's not so simple. And do you want to know why? It's not necessarily other people's opinions that are the hardest to face. The hardest thing often is how you see yourself. That image of the perfect mother is persistent. And the one who imposes it on you most harshly, very often, is you. By trying to do everything yourself, without even realizing it, you may have trapped yourself in a kind of isolation. And this applies to all women, those who are single, those who are divorced, and also those who are in a relationship. So yes, asking for help can be a blow to your self-esteem. But there are times in life when you have to let your guard down. And believe me, you won't regret it. Because opening up to your loved ones is often a real breath of fresh air. Your loved ones love you, they care about you. And when you talk to them about your fatigue, your mental overload, they might very well say, "We noticed things weren't going well, but we didn't dare intervene." In practical terms, this can involve very simple things. Talking with your partner about sharing household chores, establishing new routines, for example, for laundry or meals. You can also rely on your parents if they live nearby. Ask them to babysit one evening a week just to have a break or go see a movie. Your friends can also be a valuable resource. Babysitting from time to time is something you can reciprocate. When you're feeling better, you can do the same for them. And for single mothers, it's even more essential. You need time for yourself. It's not a luxury, it's necessary for your well-being. So talk about it with your friends, with your family. And if you're separated but on good terms with your children's father, talk to him about it too. You're not supposed to carry all of this alone. Tip number 4, make time for yourself. Fourth essential tip, carve out time for yourself. When you're a busy mom, these moments are rare. I'm talking about those precious instants when all of a sudden you think, hey, I have 15 minutes to spare. I don't have anything urgent to deal with, no obligations, I can do whatever I want with it. And yet, somewhat paradoxically, we almost always fill these little gaps in our schedule. Automatically, we grab our phone. At best, we scroll through Pinterest or Instagram. At worst, we stumble upon an email, a message, some piece of information that annoys us and completely ruins those 15 minutes of peace and quiet. It's not easy, but maybe next time, instead of reaching for your phone, you could go for a short walk, or simply do absolutely nothing. Close your eyes, breathe, take a power nap, truly disconnect in those rare moments of the day that are yours, just for you. Now, let's be honest, 15 minutes a day isn't always enough to feel much better about yourself. Giving yourself time isn't a vague concept or an unattainable luxury. It's a gift you give yourself because you deserve it. And above all, don't feel guilty about taking this time for yourself, because its effects are real. Taking time for yourself helps you better manage your emotions, be more mentally available, more patient, more serene. And it has a direct impact on your family life and your relationship. Taking care of yourself isn't about distancing yourself from others. On the contrary, it's a way to love them more.
Tip number 5, mastering space and time for lasting results. Fifth and final tip, regain control of your time and space. Because a constantly overloaded schedule, whether professional, personal, or both, leads straight to burnout and exhaustion. At some point, a reassessment is necessary. I'd like to ask you a simple but essential question. In your schedule, what is truly a priority for you? It's time to take stock, professionally, personally. Are there things you could simply stop doing? Commitments you made out of habit, dedication, or because no one else was available? Perhaps you became a class representative, treasurer of an association, or involved in a project that started with good intentions, and today 2 possibilities exist. Either it brings you real satisfaction and you love it, or on the contrary, you regret every day having agreed to it because you feel like you're wasting your energy and time. And in that case, it might be time to draw the necessary conclusions. Reduce your goals to what is essential for you. For that, nothing is more effective than a pen and paper. Write, sort, prioritize. This simple exercise can already relieve you enormously. And then there's another fundamental aspect of the mental load of mothers, this feeling of loss of control. It can develop gradually or appear after a difficult event, like a divorce, for example. You feel like you've lost control of much, not your time, not your life, not even sometimes your home or your workspace. And that's understandable, because our living and working spaces often reflect what's happening inside us. But the good news is, it works the other way around, too. When you declutter your environment, your mind calms down. It regains clarity, and above all, it regains a sense of control. Taking back control of your space and your time is significant. These are small, concrete changes that, when combined, have big long-term effects.
In reality, embarking on a major decluttering project is a bit like starting over. It's a way to begin afresh, on a healthier, lighter footing. When you declutter, you're not just putting things away, you're also cleaning up your past. You're keeping only what has meaning for you, what truly matters. This is precisely the principle behind Marie Kondo's method, asking yourself, does this item make me feel good? And this questioning goes far beyond simply tidying up. It helps you connect with what's essential for you in your life in general. So if, as a mother, you feel overwhelmed, out of control, with the impression that you've lost everything, think of one simple thing: tidying up. Seriously, believe me, this decluttering therapy can be incredibly effective in these moments. Because by putting things in order around you, you also begin to put things in order within yourself.